This story out of Louisiana is upsetting, and we warn you, this footage is hard to watch. Earlier this month in Shreveport, police received the following call about a domestic disturbance at this apartment complex.
Shreveport Police, what's your emergency?
How you doing? My husband, he's loaded on some on the woody on, and he's threatening me and my daughter and them.
Cops make their way over to the scene, and at the apartment, a man opens the door.
What's your name?
Alonzo.
Hey, can you step out for me?
No.
Cops enter as the man tells them he needs to take care of his dog.
Come here.
Put my dog up.
She can put the dog up.
And when the man goes into a different room,
Hey!
he jumps off his balcony. Police run out and try to find the guy, and when they come across him nearby, an officer opens fire.
Oh, God. You shot me. No.
Hey, come on. Come on.
No.
Come on.
No.
Come on. Come on.
No,
Come on.
man. No.
An officer treats the man and pleads with him to keep breathing, but after he was taken to the hospital, 43-year-old Alonzo Bagley was pronounced dead. This all went down earlier this month, and it only took a minute and 25 seconds from when police knocked on the door to Alonzo being shot dead. After police reviewed the body cam footage, they determined Alonzo didn't have a weapon and there weren't arguable facts that justified the need for deadly force. Here's an attorney for Alonzo's family.
This was absolutely avoidable. This was unnecessary. This was a non-violent encounter, another non-violent encounter that led to the death of a black man in this country.
A Harvard study has found that Black Americans are more than 3 times more likely to be killed by police than white Americans. Yesterday, the police officer who shot and killed Alonzo was arrested and charged with negligent homicide. But for Alonzo's family, that's not good enough. They filed a $10 million federal lawsuit against the officer.
Here we go again, y'all. Here we go again, y'all. Look at this. I mean, come on, man. He was drunk. Y'all seen clearly he wasn't trying to be about nothing. They should have just flashed their light like they usually do. You know what I'm saying? They using deadly force. Why did you have to do all that? You could have tased the man. Y'all seen he was drinking that cheap old liquor. Probably like $3 for that little half a pint he had. So it's not like, you know what I'm saying, this type of behavior isn't something y'all not used to. And it's just sad that the first thing they decide to do is use deadly force. Deadly force.
Monster of a man did such horrific crimes on the dark web, he was sentenced to 129 years in jail. There are heartless people, and then there's Peter Scully. This man did such unthinkable, inhumane things. Saying his name is enough to make one sick. Dubbed the world's worst pedophile, Peter Scully is a predator who built a child pornography empire on the dark web. There are no words to describe the atrocities that Scully did to his victims in exchange for money, but we shall try. Before he preyed on the weak and disadvantaged and profited off them in the deepest corners of the internet, Peter Scully lived in Narre Warren in Melbourne with his wife and 2 children. Born in January 1963 in Melbourne, Scully lived an outwardly normal life that gave no clues to his sadistic tendencies. According to him, he was sexually abused by a priest in Victoria as he was growing up, although that experience does little in justifying the suffering he would inflict on his victims later on. Scully eventually left his family and traded his suburban life for the city. His neighbors remembered him as someone dishonest and unreliable. While still in Melbourne, he drove headfirst into a life of crime, running an elaborate scheme that defrauded 20 investors of more than $2.68 million. To make his pocket heavier with dirty money, he got a teenage Malaysian girlfriend that he pimped out at suburban sex parties. It was clear that Scully had no morality whatsoever, and that he was driven by only one thing: money. In 2009, his fraudulent schemes soon caught up with him, and he became the focus of an Australian Securities and Investment Commission investigation. To evade the authorities, he fled Australia and moved to Cagayan de Oro on the island of Mindanao in the Philippines. His descent into darkness spiraled out of control. Building a twisted empire, he founded an international pedophile ring based on videos of children being sexually abused and tortured, some of which he even streamed live for paying customers through his production company, No Limits Fun. Scully lived off the desperate and vulnerable, targeting impoverished families. He promised his young victims' parents food and education in exchange for the abuse he inflicted on them. His 2 Filipina girlfriends became his accomplices in finding him victims, and even appeared in some of his videos. The content that Scully produced was pure evil. Videos of rape and torture, which involved kids and babies as young as 18 months old. One of the most unsettling ones, titled Daisy's Destruction, was so disturbing that investigators thought it was just an urban legend. Depressingly, it wasn't. In one instance, Scully and his accomplices baited 2 teenage girls into his house with the promise of food. He then allegedly gave them alcohol, forced them to perform sex acts between them for filming. When the girls tried to escape, he made them dig graves and threatened to bury them there. The girls were placed in pet cellars for 5 days until they were released by Scully's girlfriend, who became remorseful upon seeing their dire state. It's sickening how Scully's operation attracted a lot of customers who were willing to pay as much as $10,000 per view of the videos he took. Soon, Daisy's Destruction gained not only the public's attention, but also that of law enforcement and the media. The Dutch National Child Exploitation Team opened an investigation and made every effort to locate the victims, followed by an international manhunt for those responsible for the video's production. On February 20th, 2015, Scully was discovered in Malibali City in the Philippines, where he was apprehended with 6 warrants for his arrest. Investigators also tracked down the 3 primary victims in Daisy's destruction. 2 of the girls were alive, with one having lasting physical injuries from her torture. The 3rd girl, who was strangled by Scully, was found buried in the predator's house. Scully faced a total of 75 charges and was alleged to have sexually abused 75 children. His crimes were so severe that the prosecutors almost revived the death penalty as a punishment for him. On June 13th, 2018, the Predator was sentenced to life in prison for more than 129 years.
Boy, this guy is sick as hell. I'm sorry, but ain't no way in the hell he should be out walking right now. They should have gave his ass a death penalty just for the simple fact he did something to someone as young as 18 months. So he shouldn't be serving no goddamn jail time. And I'm sorry, I got a curse on this one. And I said what I just said. But I just let you know that it's some really messed up individuals we live in the world today with. And I still can't believe this right here is going on. Like, you know what I'm saying? This wasn't that long ago. So